Hey, welcome to another episode of Off the Dribble, presented and powered by the Warner Robins All Stars. I'm Coach KP. Joining us as always, we got Coach Tat,
What up? What up?
Coach Charles G. And we got a big show for you today, man. We're gonna get to it, but before we get to it, Coach Charles, can you bring that picture up on the screen? Hey, this picture right here is a big salute, man, to two organizations in the Middle Georgia area, the Warner Robins All Stars, of course, and then Hype South. This is a class of 2020 for both of those organizations, and more importantly, if you can see that all of these kids, or majority of these kids, are going on to the next level for either academic wise or to go play college basketball. So I just wanted to, well, we just wanted to kind of salute these kids and these organizations, Coach Tat, Coach Wasey, from the Hype South side, as far as just the success and the hard work that they put into making these kids successful and giving them an opportunity to go to the next level. As well as we got some military guys, so that's always near and dear to my heart. So just big salute to these teams, to these organizations, and to these young men for carrying on and going to the next level. And actually, our guest today is somebody that has a lot to do with some of these young men being able to go to the next level. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and introduce our guest for today's show, Jarrett Christensen. Oh, excuse me, Jarrett Christian. Jarrett, what's up, brother? I think you're on mute, Jarrett.
Oh,
There you go.
I got you. You good?
I'm good. Okay.
Yeah, we good. Hey, man. So
man.
Yeah, hey, we appreciate you being on. This is gonna be a big show, man. For the people that don't know who you are, kind of let me read off some stuff to kind of put you in the right realm. You're the owner of Pro Movement Athletics.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and then the owner and host of Talk to Me podcast.
Talk to me, yes, sir.
Talk to me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, man. So we're excited to have you on the show, man. Welcome.
Yeah, no, seriously, I appreciate you guys, reaching out. I've been watching, and I think we're all of us good friends with Kawasi Hype South. So I love y'all and admire y'all's consistency doing this. I see a lot of people, start these and literally they'll go hard for a week, 2 weeks, whatever the case may be. But y'all are literally consistent with the content. So I know it's definitely a team or group effort. So what y'all are doing over here is definitely deserves a salute as well. And I'm a fan. So,
yes, sir. Well, that's big, man. That's big for you being in this movement and pushing the culture forward, and having a direct effect on young men and young women lives as far as trying to get them the opportunities to go to the next level. That we can only take that as a compliment that you're seeing what we're trying to do as far as following those same footsteps, and just give opportunities.
Yeah, 100%. That's what it's about. Giving opportunity.
Yes, sir. Hey, so that picture we showed real quick, man, of all the that 2020 class. Like I said, I know you had some movement in that as far as helping some of them young men go to the next level. You just speak on that just a little bit, man.
Yeah, so me and, like I said, Kawasi, Hype South, we came together. This might have been, we've probably been doing this 3-4 years, connecting different student athletes from Macon, from the Middle Georgia area, all the way back to some kids. I think some of the first Niera Dawson, was one of the early. Greg Holloway out there from Westside a couple of years ago. Bryce Pastor that ended up going to South Georgia Tech, and now he's just moving to Fort Valley after graduating from JUCO. So we kind of came up with a Hype South connection to really bridge that gap, and how passionate Kawasi is in terms of helping kids, whether it's find extra opportunities instead of just graduating, and you see those same kids really just hanging around, really not doing much, and then you see a lot of kids end up getting in trouble that are good kids, but once they graduate, they just get maybe mixed up with the wrong crowd because some of the other friends may have went on to school. So we've been doing that for like 3-4 years, and like in this group we had Bryson Wooten, Edward Waters commit. I think he just arrived this morning, if I'm not mistaken. And then Tony Card, Florida Gateway College, as well. So really good D2 JUCO. I think both schools are maybe like 30, 40 minutes apart. So both of them will be in Florida. And like I said, it's just putting these kids on a platform and giving them the opportunity to, get out of their city, get out and experience something new, right? Your life is the experiences you have, and just trying to provide something that maybe we didn't have coming up, and really give that kid that extra push and whatnot to really how to minimize. I love basketball, but I'll say this: my main goal is to minimize or eliminate student debt. Because once you're 25, 30, 40, 50 years old, still paying, Uncle Sam, or whoever off those loans, stacking up. Some people, graduating 100,000 plus in student debt. And, just trying to really put these kids in a situation to get their education paid for.
Yeah. Hey man, so doing some research on you, based on you coming on the show, right? Kind of I guess your mission statement for the pro movement. I kind of picked up on. You tell me if I'm hitting the mark or not.
Okay.
But kind of what I seen was to market under the radar high school student athletes and put them on a platform to be seen by college coaches, to be seen throughout the country.
Mm-hmm.
Is that kind of what your mission statement is as far as the whole pro movement?
Yeah, bingo. So when we first started back in, I graduated from University of North Georgia 2013. So we started 2013. So for the last 7 years, really we've sent kids to 38 different states. So it's not like where some people may just have a local reach, or something southeast or regional, because opportunities come in every shape, form, or fashion throughout all the countries, throughout all the states. Excuse me. So it's just like we never wanted to limit ourselves or pigeonhole ourselves into just being able, oh yeah, they send kids to school, but they send kids to the same, 2, 3 schools within, a small, few states or whatever. Because sometimes you may have to go outside your state for that right opportunity to get your education paid for, whether that's, JUCO or 4 year, whatever it is. So, yeah, really market these under the radar student athletes, because I think we have enough platforms that kind of market or promote, the 3, 4, 5 star kids, right? I think we have a lot of people in this industry that do that and do it at a high clip, and it's to be respected and commendable. But a lot of times when people try to come into this industry, they see that and try to mimic that, right? Try to mimic that same thing, try to get on these same kids that already have offers to promote those kids. Because if I'm promoting a kid that already has, 3, 4 stars, offers everywhere, more than likely those tweets are going to get more likes and retweets, right? It takes, I forgot who said it. Saw something on Twitter, but like really taking kids that are really flying under the radar and putting them in an opportunity to get a scholarship and change their life. Like that's a little something different. It takes a little bit more groundwork compared to riding the wave of a kid that really doesn't even need any more promotion, to be honest with you.
Right. So Jarrett, we're gonna take you back just a minute, man, and I'm gonna ask you to kind of just give us your story, right?
Mm-hmm.
From your college situation or whatever the case may be, and what kind of molded you and made you want to get into this type of I guess situation to help the kids. How did you know or see the need for what you're doing, as far as what kind of pushed you in that direction?
Yeah, so man, I was actually the one to go through it personally, and when it came to my career, it didn't go the way I wanted it to go. Obviously, one part, usually if you have a parent or a older sibling that did it before you, went to college, played, they can kind of help navigate you and steer you the right way. My brother playing football broke his back, so he wasn't going to college to play football. Basketball or football or anything like that. My mom didn't play sports. She went to Savannah State, graduated, I think, 2 or 3 years. My dad, he went to a 2 year school, but once again, nothing athletic wise. So I was kind of like when you're the first to go through something, you're more as the test subject or the guinea pig. And so I went through it. And when I was at Duluth, I went to Duluth High School. We were not that good back then. I think my junior year we might have won 3 games. I think we went 3-26 or something like that. And then my senior year we had an excellent year and went like 9-18 or whatever it was. So that was
Hey,
kind of
y'all tripled the wins, man.
exactly, you know what I mean. So each win felt good, but we didn't come across them too often. So once that happened, I realized a lot of college coaches are not coming to Duluth to check on that. Like at that point, I was like 5'10" point guard, and it's college coaches look at student point guards a dime a dozen if you're under 6 foot. You have to have something really stand out about you. So quick story, somehow some way my dad got a low major D1 coach to come to one of my games. We were playing Norcross, and this team had Jeremy Lamb. It was his junior year. I'm a year older than him. He was coming off the bench. Denzel Jones, D2 All-American, Anderson University. You know how those Norcross teams were. It was just, it was ridiculous. So I'm thinking, okay, I got him coming here. I show I can prove what I can do in front of these guys against Norcross, one of the best teams in state and in the country. Scholarship offer, got it. So we play Norcross. It was their senior night, so you could assume how things went. It was a little bit of a setup, and we ended up losing. I kid you not. We ended up losing 83-33. And it got so bad they actually put their manager in the game. That was only about 4'4". He hit 2 threes on us. Like when I say the crowd was going crazy, it was at this point. I'm sitting at the end of the bench, literally. I'm just like, well, what do we do? I got the coach up here, but I had one of my best games in the season at 20 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists through 3 quarters. I figured, okay, I did that. I know we got beat pretty bad. I know we got stomped, but I proved I could hang with these guys.
Right.
Let's see what the coach says afterwards. So afterwards, the coach comes down from the stands and, hey, coach, I just want to thank you for coming to the game. I definitely appreciate it. You coming out here. And you know how someone's talking to you, but they're not really making eye contact with you. It looks like they're looking for someone, in the background or just distracted or something. So he said, yeah, Jarrett, you did great. Let me know how your recruiting ends up. Guard your size, come a dime a dozen, and let me know how things go. Pats me on the back like his son, walks across the gym and offers a kid that came off the bench from Norcross. He was like 6'7". He had 8 rebounds and 8 points and 7 rebounds that game. Offered him a scholarship. Back then, it wasn't Twitter and stuff. My mom or someone like that was friends with his mom or whatever. And we saw it on Facebook or whatnot, like the next day. And at that point, it was like a realization that was just like, life is not fair. We can sulk about it and complain and talk about I'm a D1 talent. I deserve this, whatever the case may be. But you're going to have a certain type of demeanor, a certain level of thick skin, and a certain level of, I'm going to overcome anything, even when, our hashtag is against all odds. That's when I realized it was against all odds, especially for someone, that was my size. So that happened, and that was kind of like the turning point. And then me, I was like, I got to go D1. I ended up going to Mercer my freshman year. I graduated high school, I think on like May 13th. I went to summer school at Mercer 7 days later, so on May 20th. And I walked up to the coach, met him in his office. Look, coach, I want to, a preferred walk-on spot. I'll do whatever I can. And, those D1s, those kids go to school year round. So I did both sessions of summer school, working out with the team, every single Mercer workout, every single, pickup they had to do every day. I literally was doing everything, trying to earn a spot on the team. So, the coach says, hey, Jarrett, you did well this summer towards the end of summer school. And said, hey, come back fall and talk to me. We see what we can work out. So I said, okay, I feel good. And I would have been the 15th man on the roster at that point. Long story short, get to come back fall, finally, track down coach. They ended up replacing my walk-on spot with like 4 or 5 other preferred walk-ons, and the roster was now at 19. So that opportunity was going. So then I transferred to a D2 in South Carolina. That didn't work out. Injury prone, kept, torn meniscus, other little nagging injuries. So really didn't play that year. And then University of North Georgia, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to play. I can't do it, man. I'm sick of always trying to fight and prove my point.
Right.
And they just don't like to see us in the cards. My mom was like, She said, pick one school you want to go to and go make the team. I said, Mom, it don't work like that. That sounds good, but Mom, it don't work like I'm tired of it. So I picked University of North Georgia, set up something over the summer, end up really doing, real well there and getting picked up. But once again, injuries there, man. Broken foot. The day I come back after healing from my broken foot, that first practice, Brad, I tear my meniscus again. So at this point, I'm just like,
can't catch a break.
yeah, man, like what's going on here? So, I was all on the bench, and I'm really good friends with the Coach Moynihan. He's the assistant coach at Appalachian State, and he actually started this, and he knows this. I was because of all the injuries at North Georgia. I was walking around like in those big boots on your foot.
Right.
It got to a point where I was always in a boot and always hurt. Like people started calling me, like Pat gave me the name Boot. People were calling me Boot walking around campus. And like it's funny now, but like the confidence and the self-esteem at that point,
Right.
I'm just like, I'm thinking I'm a legit hooper, this and that. And now it's put me all the way down to a point where I got people calling me Boot. And it was bad because I was in a boot. So that's kind of like that story, just like through those trials and tribulations of 3 schools in 3 years, making sure I still graduated, kind of still like against all odds was the mentality. And that got me to the point where, all right, I went through all this stuff, everything I've learned about recruiting, everything I learned about marketing, everything I learned about so many different things. How do I put it all together and make sure what happened to me, obviously besides injuries, but what happened to me doesn't happen to anybody else if we can avoid it. So that's kind of that story.
Well, Jarrett, I know people see on Twitter about, the pro movement and this. Could you let the parents know and the viewers know, what do you guys actually do?
Okay. Yep. Good question. So, we have our national prospect placement program that we offer, and what it is, it's not just obviously it's marketing the student athletes, but it's also going throughout this process, you'll learn, especially when you go through it the first time, like if you have 1 or 2 kids, whatever the case may be. A lot of times you need someone to guide you through a specific process, right? Like I can read online or look at a YouTube video on how to fix my sink, but I'm not a plumber, right? So you have to sometimes go to the industry expert, as they say, in corporate or whatnot, and seek out that help for someone to actually guide you through the process, to let you know what may be potential warning signs, to educate you on all the opportunities that are actually available to you. Because once again, for me, all I knew was D1 coming out of school. I didn't know what a D2 or NAI, USCAA is, NJC, D1D. I didn't know what those things were. And you can get there, like where I went, University of North Georgia, their scholarship money is the same color as UGA scholarship money, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Coastal Georgia NAI program, it's the same scholarship money as Central Georgia Tech down there. Shout out to Rico. His scholarship money is the same color as UGA's scholarship money, right? But unless you have an individual to first provide you the marketing platform where your student athlete can be seen by college coaches across the country, it's also more of a recruiting education to let you know how to navigate through the process to succeed, instead of my son or my daughter, he's going to have a good year, I hope it goes well, and let's wait for college coaches to find him. Back when I was coming, I was talking to my brother about this the other day. There were like a handful of AAU teams, right? We had Celtics, we had Georgia Stars, and maybe a handful of other ones. Nowadays, everybody and their mama got an AAU team, right? I think there so many talented prospects out there that I think someone did a tweet, and I try to put it in perspective for people. I don't remember who it was, but they said all the all-state kids, like, across the state, everyone that gets all-state, there's not enough scholarships within the state of Georgia for all those all-state kids to get offers.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, and I had to think about it. So even the best of the best in the state, just because of the number wise, and obviously that's an example for the state of Georgia. So that's why I made the comment before. Sometimes you may have to go outside of your state to actually get your opportunity. But like if you say certain stats like that or whatever to parents, it's mind blowing to them. What? So like my child, one of the best in this county, player of the year in my county, all state for 2 years. Like that sounds like he deserves a D1 offer to me. Not at all, just because it's a numbers game. So that's what people need to understand. Recruiting is not about being the best. It's about getting to these college coaches first, because it's a head count sport. Once they sign and those scholarships are going, those kids that may be better than the kids they sign, the opportunity's already gone. So it's like I tell parents, never put yourself in a situation where you're competing for a scholarship that no longer exists at that point in the recruiting calendar, right? And that's the thing. So many times, especially seniors, they're really, really good, but they're talking to schools that may only have one offer left at that point. So you're sitting there, what they say, beating your head against a brick wall or whatnot. And that's where the guidance, that's where the recruiting education, that's where the enlightenment or the understanding of the knowledge to really provide parents with this type of information and walk them through the entire process, compared to, just doing, I don't know, blasting out emails to college coaches and hoping one of them, sees and responds.
What's up?
Hey, so
go ahead, Kenny.
well, I was just gonna say, so Jarrett, so we've heard that before, right? As far as an offer isn't really an offer. So you got like a soft offer and a hard offer. Can you kind of just talk to us from that standpoint as well, from what you've seen in your experience, as far as dealing with dealing with these kids and getting them in position? Okay, can you just kind of speak to that?
Perfect example. I don't know if you guys follow Coach Summers, where coach at Edward Waters College, where Bryson is going. He did a tweet yesterday, and then I called him, about it, because it's extremely frustrating sometimes on both of these ends, where sometimes well, let me give you a scenario. So you basically offered a kid and May or whatnot, and that trainer or that handler or that person that was guiding that family told that student athlete, look, you can go to a school bigger than an NAI level school. You can do better than that. So yeah, they did offer back in May, but they haven't heard back from you, or you haven't showed any type of interest. And now it's May, June, July, August. School's about to start in 2 weeks. Like for instance, Bryson and them are already there, and that handler or trainer, whatever you want to call them, called him back and said, hey, is that offer still there? What happened was you told that family that he could go higher, which he might have been a higher talent. But once again, like we said, it's a head count sport. So yeah, he did offer you 3-4 months ago. Like these college coaches are not going to sit around and wait for you to not get your first 1, 2, 3, or third option, and now you're basically their fourth option. It's like, okay, we'll go to this school now. So when it comes to those hard and soft offers, once again, parents and everybody needs to use like the verbal commits. You can see what offers are out there, and it's always going to be more offers than actual like true scholarships. And these schools have to protect themselves. They can't just solely, invest in one specific kid and just recruit. Because if you don't decide not to go to that school, what am I going to do now if I'm the coach, right? This is how he provides for his family. This is how he, pays mortgages, pays car notes, whatever the case may be, puts food in his daughter or son's mouth. So he has to win. And like, you don't win by, scrambling last minute for a recruit. So that's why you see, wait a minute, X school offered 5 point guards, within the last 3 days over, like a live event or, whatever. And how is that possible? The way that works is if you offer, they offer 5 kids for, one PG scholarship. If one of them decides to jump on that offer first, 99% those other 4 kids, that offer is now gone. Even though you still tweeted it out and posted it and it may have it still pinned to your profile, that offer is now gone. So that's why you always have to make sure, I hear a lot of coaches now are giving kids like deadlines and stuff. Hey, this offer, but this offer expires in 14 days. This offer expires in 21 days. Sometimes the offer expires in 7 days. So it's just the business of it.
And then even for that, Jarrett. So when you're talking to these parents and whatnot, is there kind of like I guess a classroom setup, or how are you funneling that information to them to what they should be looking at? What does that process look like?
In terms of like education,
just the knowledge piece of it. So
Okay.
so if I come over and I say I'm asking for assistance and getting my son a look or whatever the case may be, how does that process go down as far as you letting us know, okay, so this is what we're looking for. These are the things that you should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
These are the things that we're looking out. This is what that education piece is.
Yep. So obviously, me myself, it's me, and we have a few other regional talent scouts on the team that are assigned to specific, cases within the portfolio or whatnot. So if a kid comes in, maybe it's a Coach Juke or a guy Kendall Pro or Coach Mincy, Coach Arnett, whoever it is. They have a specific pro movement representative where if they have any questions, they want to know how they should prep for a phone call, with college coaches, whatever the case may be. They actually have a person that they can call, text, at any time, compared to, certain situations where maybe different recruiting services will throw your profile into a database and say, okay, college coaches can view your profile. But wait a minute, what if I have a question? What if I don't understand? How do I get ahead of my competition how do I stand out to the other thousands of, kids that are in this database that play my same position, that are my same height? So, throughout through that pro movement representative, that's the person that's giving them questions to, hey, you need to make sure you ask these questions to these college coaches while you're on the phone with them. You need to make sure you're sending follow-up emails after, a call. Say, I appreciate your time. Because once again, you treat it like a business, because it is a business. A lot of times people look at it as hooping. I'm just hooping.
Right.
That cliche saying, it's it's not a 4-year decision, it's a 40-year decision. That's 100% true. But most times people look at it as a 4-year decision. Where can I hoop, get the most playing time? Like I said, when we have conversations, on our end throughout our team, it's all right. Obviously, you want to be in a high demand priority, recruit athletic wise, basketball, football, whatever your sport is. But next, does this school have your major? We're looking up, and targeting schools that the kid would actually have their major, that he actually would be happy at, socially as well, academic piece as well, paired with athletically. So it's a lot of moving parts to it, and it can be complicated. But that's why you can't just shoot in the dark and hope for the best outcome. You have to strategize like it's a 40-year plan. Everybody says that, but they don't move like that.
Right.
They move like it's a 4-year plan. So, the easy route, maybe still can end up getting there. And like I said, kids transfer all the time, and sometimes it's definitely, justified to transfer. However, if you can get that opportunity right the first time and lock something in, for instance, I got one girl, she signed with, she played at Fitzgerald High School, if I'm not mistaken. And she went to Talladega. She could have went higher. And Talladega's an NAIA, but one of the best NAIA programs in the country. Coach K, what he's doing over there, salute. They're top 5, top 10 for last 3+ years. But the girl that we sent there, like, she has a plan and is very strategic. She's going into her junior year, and only needs 27 credits to graduate. She's been taking classes every summer. She's getting involved in, the sorority. She, joined the sorority. She's has a 4.0 plus GPA. So when we have these conversations, it's just much more than basketball. It's everything in totality, what that student athlete may be looking for on and off the court.
Right.
Hey Jay, so what can a kid do to help their recruitment? Whether it's marketing, what advice could you give that kid?
Man, that's a good question. Because that's all twofold. Because I'll give it from the kid's perspective, but the dangerous side of that is, what can like the parent do. But first about what the kid can do. Obviously, the bare, the necessary things like keeping your social media clean. We all see those tweets where kids lose scholarships and offers just based off their social media. So once again, if you want a coach to invest thousands and thousands of dollars of you, and you do the math over 4 years with how much that school may cost, once again, treat it like a business, right? Treat it like a business. Your social media account, needs to be ran like a business, very professional. The bios, name, phone number, email, link to your highlight, things like that. So that's the first thing. And then like another thing for these kids is actually like, don't take things too personal in recruiting. A lot of times it's a roller coaster. And what I would tell these kids and what I tell them all the time is, you're not worried about one no. I don't care if you hear 10 no's from college coaches, because you can only go to one school at the end of the day. Right. So a lot of times kids will get caught up in what other kids have going on. Maybe it's a teammate, a AAU teammate. This kid has this offer for such and such, and I think I'm better, whatever the case may be. Never compare yourself to any other kid throughout the recruitment process, because that doesn't do anything positive for your recruitment, right? So do not compare yourself to other prospects. Stay working, stay zoned in, like, next thing, clean up your social media, and then try this is where I'm about to get to the adult. Try to put yourself in a situation where the adults or mentors around you are telling you things that you do not want to hear, right? Tell you things how you can get better. Sometimes too many of these kids nowadays have like circles of, yes men or yes women, whatever you want to call them, that really aren't saying anything to help that kid actually push himself. It's more, hey, you're really good, you're great, you're one of the best, you're getting slept on. Okay, all right, that might be true, but a kid hears that too much, it starts to do something, to his psyche, compared if you have some of these mentors or whoever, AAU coach, actually say, look, man, you can be, you're good, but you can be great. You got to do these things. You got to do X, Y, Z. I'm gonna hold you accountable to it too. It might not just be on the court. It might be in the classroom. How many kids do we know that have a nice package on the court, but you can't trust them in the classroom?
Wow.
And that hurts your recruitment, because once again, if I'm looking at two kids and one is an A, let's give them an A grade, and the other kid's a B, but the kid with a B got a 3.5 GPA, the A kid got a 2.1. Well, yeah, you deserve that scholarship based off of your talent and ability, but business wise, you might get me fired. If I bring you here and you're not eligible and you can't play and you're one of my top guys, you might can get me fired. That's why I can't, a lot of these kids, they don't end up getting the offers and they don't see it from that side of it. But, parents, I'll say, like, it's put yourself in a situation where you have, like, for instance, that example I gave you with the tweet Coach Summers from Edward Waters was talking about, before. That's so unfortunate, because the advice of an adult ended up hurting a kid's future and, his opportunity to get his degree paid for. More than likely, that kid is going to be sitting home this year. School's already starting. And this was a kid, that's really, really talented, but he was taking the advice who he thought had his best interest. But what I talk to a lot of these parents is educate yourself on levels outside of D1, and it's actually, you have to, if you don't think it's okay for your child to go to a D2 or NAIA or to a JUCO maybe, like what is your child gonna think, right? So I always tell parents, I can usually tell how a situation may end up based off of, like, not the kid, but what the parents are doing, what the parents are saying, because they're not coming to my house every night and being influenced by the things that are coming out of my mouth. They're getting influenced by the stuff that come out their mom and their dad's mouth. And if that mom and dad is always talking about how it's a high school coach's fault, AAU coach's fault, oh, he really doesn't care about you, he's just promoting these kids and this and that, and always making an excuse on why it's always someone else's fault, that's the same attitude that's going to start seeping into that child's bloodstream. And that's the dangerous part. So we talk about the kids a lot, and don't get me wrong, hold them accountable when it's time, and put them in a situation to succeed. But it's so dangerous because a lot of times the parents are some parents are sabotaging their child's future. And you see a kid that can go to a full ride offer on just whether it's D2, NAIA, JUCO, like, even if you just play for 2 years and graduate and get your associate's degree. I just read an article. I don't remember if it was what I'm not sure. I don't remember where it was, but more people are starting to get their associate's degree and then getting a trade or whatever, and then going into their work field, and making good money depending on what trade it actually is. But like, it has to be the parents that are positively influencing their children. So sometimes you don't know, right? Ignorance is, define it. You don't know. It's not knowing. So educate yourself on more opportunities and be humble enough to, educate yourself or listen to someone else when they're trying to help you. Don't always take the defensive mode on why it's someone else's fault. Because if it's always someone else's fault, that's not something you want to set the foundation for when it's a kid going through recruiting, because he's going to take that same outlook in life, why it's always someone else's fault. That's why I tell kids, you might be right in this situation, you might be right, maybe coach was absolutely wrong in this case, but you cannot control the actions of another man or woman. So what are we going to do? We got to look for solutions. I was always taught, my dad told me, if you don't have the solution, don't sit down to the table and open your mouth and tell me what's wrong about the situation. That's how I was raised. So that's why when it comes to that against all odds, that can mean if someone has done you dirty or whatever the case might be, and it's justified for you to blow up the whole situation because, that person did you wrong. Is that what's best for you long term?
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, it's no. So that's the way I kind of look at it, from like the twofold.
All right. Hey, Jerry, we're gonna get to we're gonna get to this question, man. And I seen, I was putting up a list of kids that you and Wasey have helped out, man. That's a lot of kids. He couldn't even get through all of them. So that's just a few to name, man. You've been busy out there. So we got a question out there. He wants you to kind of explain to the parents and kids why your service isn't necessarily for D1 high major kids.
Okay, yeah. So if like I said, we have enough individuals that do a great job for these high major D1 kids. They don't, need extra exposure. Obviously, it looks good if those kids come across your timeline. Okay, likes and retweets. Let's get over that. Let's keep it moving. So that's why our process is for the 99%, right? It's for literally the kids that maybe could play at a low major D1, even some mid-major D1s. It just depends. But we're for the pretty much the under the radar type of student athletes that need that extra push, because sometimes you may have a kid in certain areas, and I think you guys see a lot of that in Middle Georgia, or my guys in South Georgia see a lot of it. You see a kid that can easily be a full scholarship D2 or NAI type kid, easily that level, kid, but coaches have never seen or heard of him ever. And a lot of times I talk to my man, Medlock about this, Lockway Hoops. You know, most times when these college coaches are, getting out the airport, they're not trying to drive too much south from the airport. You know what I mean? They're not sitting there driving, an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, all the way, got to get to Albany, whatever the case may be. They're not doing that. So once again, how do you bridge that gap for kids that are really, really talented? And if you're getting offers, from mid majors and high majors, 10th, 11th grade, there's no need for a pro for you, which is absolutely fine. There's no need for you. You can, have those opportunities at your disposal, do your research and go with what, best opportunity you think is for you. But if you're in that 99% of kids, and that's the problem, right? In life, everyone thinks that they're the outlier, right? They don't think they're the 99%. They think they're the 1%. You know what I mean? And I was talking to a kid about this that we sent to a D2 in Ohio this year, a kid from a JUCO. And, you got these kids that are NAIA and Division II All-Americans. I definitely believe and have seen, NAIA D2 top level kids. They're good enough to go play at 90+% of these low major and mid majors. They're good enough, but once again, the exposure factor may have played a part in it. The connections part may have played a factor in it, or it just came down to, like you said, the head count aspect of it. And maybe those situations, because those level schools, they're sitting there recruiting, 20, they're not just recruiting 2021s right now. Those high major kids are getting recruited in what, 8th, 9th grade?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm a firm believer in this, right? It's the same thing in corporate, if you have your own business, you want to sell t-shirts, you want to do this, you want to do that. Most times the market will tell you like what's the value or the worth for something is. It will tell you the demand, right? If I'm selling t-shirts and I got them up there for $50, but everybody that comes back to me, $50, man, I like the shirt, but hey, I'll give you 30. I'll give you 30 for it, right? And you got 10 plus people telling you, hey, I'll give you 25, 30 for it. And nobody has bought your shirt for $50. What is the market telling you, right? The market is telling you more than likely your shirt is between 25 and 30, $35 on the high end, right? So it's the same thing for recruiting. If you get put on our platform, and not our platform, like whoever's platform, right? You now have the ability for exposure, and let's say you get 4 Division II offers. That's the market telling you, hey, you're probably a Division II level player, but does that mean you can't make a low major Division I bench and maybe be lower down the roster? No, that's not saying that. You probably could, but we talked about being in high demand and being a priority recruit. Everyone wants to be a priority in whatever they're doing. So if you want to be, it's telling me, hey, the market is saying I'm a priority at this level, this Division II level. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of way, but everyone can't be the outlier to it. Everyone always has a story on why they may be the outlier. Why, I only got these 4 D2s, but look, I should be going mid-major for sure. You might be right. Maybe true, right? But like I said, D2 All-Americans, they're good enough to play mid-major basketball.
Thanks.
So it depends on your perspective.
Hey Jarrett, can you kind of break down the different levels, right? So D1, we know what it is. Everybody is familiar with what D1 is, but can you kind of break down, and I think for the most part, maybe even D2, but when you get into the D3s and the JUCOs and the NAIAs, can you kind of break down what that kind of looks like?
Okay, so obviously D1s, in Georgia, let's just say Mercer, Georgia State, obviously UGA, everybody knows, and then Kennesaw, right? D1s in Georgia. D2s, they have the opportunity to pay for your scholarship and education as well. So in Georgia, let's just stick with those. Those would be your, Young Harris, North Georgia, Georgia College and State. For Georgia, I think a lot of them are in the Peach Belt Conference. Then you move down to Division III. They don't have athletic scholarship money, but a lot of kids with high academics are, awarded, very lucrative, financial aid reward packages to make that education, affordable. So those type of schools in Georgia would be your Oglethorpe, your LaGrange, your Piedmont. And then you have JUCO. And, those are 2-year programs where kids are going to get their associate's degree, like we spoke earlier, like maybe a trade or something like that. And well, let me hit on this real quick. JUCO, when I was coming out of school, the stigma was, if you went JUCO, oh, you must have not been a smart player, smart in the classroom, like your grades were bad. That was the stigma when I was coming out.
Right.
But as we talked about, the level of competition obviously has raised for them. The number of talented so the pool of talent has completely expanded, since then with all these different AAU teams and this and that. So what has happened, especially with the transfer portal being what it is, like more and more high school student athletes that are very good academically or even elite. Once again, we talked about Bryce Pastor, that was at he went South Georgia Tech. Now he's at Fort Valley. He just signed, but he graduated with a 3.9 GPA and a 25 or 26 ACT. And went the JUCO route. And people say, why? He didn't have any offers. He had the grades. But what happens is when you have these transfers dominating the market, like, once again, these college coaches have to win now. So what most of them feel they have to do is snag up these transfers that are ready to come in from day one and impact their program. So a kid that was good enough to go D2 or the NAIA, a couple years ago, now those scholarships are being snagged up, not by high school competition. They're being taken by transfers, JUCO kids and 4-year kids. So now when you have what's going on with the, chain in terms of priority, high school kids are getting pushed down further and further down the list. Is that fair? Once again, absolutely not, especially when you do what you have to do in the classroom and taking care of what you're doing on the court. But that goes back to what we were talking about earlier in terms of all these all-state level kids. How does he not get an offer? More than likely, it's because, that D2 or NAIA is probably getting, a kid from Rico, Central Georgia Tech, or, someone from, wherever, that can come in and impact from day one compared to freshmen needing some time to develop. So once again, if you're a parent or AAU coach or a trainer or whoever, just giving advice about that, it's not always about what level you're good enough for. It's about, are you needed at that level? And sometimes you have to go JUCO to raise your stock. So now, Bryce, excellent academic kid out of high school, kept it up at JUCO. He had to do 2 years at JUCO before he got to a 4-year school, D2. So anyway, so you got your JUCOs. They got D1, D2, D3 JUCO. D3 JUCOs can offer scholarships. D2 JUCOs can offer scholarships, but majority of Division II JUCOs do not have on campus like residency. So a lot of them are staying off campus. So with maybe it's they'll be able to pay for your education in terms of your credits, but you may have to use your Pell Grant or come out of pocket to live off campus at the apartments around the corner for most Division II JUCOs. And then obviously D1 JUCOs, high level of talent as well. And then you have USCAA, D1, D2. There aren't any in Georgia. None in Georgia, but USCAA D1s can offer scholarship, but they aren't fools. USCAA D2, they can't offer scholarships similar, to Division III, and then you got NCCAA D1 and D2, which are different, Christian type schools. So in Georgia, that would be a Toccoa Falls, South Carolina, your Bob Jones, Johnson University, Tennessee, Florida. So that's that deal. And once again, you have to do your research on all these levels of schools, because a lot of them can put you in a situation where, it'd be a school that you haven't heard of that pays for your education.
Right.
Right.
Hey, so we got a question before we jump to the question, man. We brought up his name a couple of times. I just want to give a shout out to Coach Dawson,
Oh yeah,
Coach Rico over there, and congratulations to Champ. Just finished up. I seen something. They had a graduation or virtual graduation or something. So just shout out to them and the whole Dawson family over there. So definitely.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we do got a question for you, Jarrett. So you want to kind of take that one, kind of talking about exposure. Have you seen high school players that can play in college, and they simply don't get interest because of exposure? And then, so how can your service then help get that exposure?
Yep. So it's once again, what recruiting is about is obviously exposure, and then being connected to the right people that can help you, and then beating your competition to the punch. And that's why it's having a long-term plan and not just taking your recruiting seriously second semester, of your senior year. Now, when you're scrambling, now you're dealing with a small percent of that recruiting pie that's actually available to you at that point. So I've seen so many times where, I'll give you a quick story. So back when, I played at, like I said, Duluth, and we weren't even, like I said, that good. 9 games my senior year. We played Peachtree Ridge, which was our rivals back then. And they had a point guard. He was okay. He might have averaged like 5 points, 4 rebounds. And I'm sitting here all region, all county. And I made sure every time I played them, I was going at this guy's head. But
He's giving them buckets, huh?
yeah, we actually beat him. We actually beat him one time, and it's just because of this event that happened. He actually, it was a game we actually beat them in their house. I think, I don't know, maybe like 17-4-4. I had something like that, and I don't think he scored, maybe 0-2 points, something like that. But then a week later, I see on Facebook again, the kid got an offer for Savannah State, and I'm sitting here like, yo, how is this like making sense? Whatever the case may be, and we just beat you, and I just did what I did to y'all a week ago. So I'm a kid. That's how I'm thinking, and it turns out like an assistant coach or someone like that had a connection. It was a old friend of one of the assistants or whatever at Savannah State. So once again, there goes that connection. A lot of times, it's recruiting is about relationships. And when I call a coach, when Coach Juke, Coach Mintz, Coach Kendall, whoever it is on the team that calls a coach for a kid, that college coach knows we know what they're looking for. They know we know what type of style they play. They know that we're actually in tune to the competition level of their program, and so they take our opinions or value it to a certain level and to a certain degree, compared to them just getting emails blasted and blasted and blasted. They don't even have time to read all those emails. So I say that to say, it's like obviously having that exposure, which is the platform that we promote the kids on a consistent basis. College coaches throughout the country having access to that and actually tune in or follow us because they're looking for student athletes that can go and impact their program. So you have the platform, but most importantly, because it's so much more that goes into this than just tweets. It's just, I know people get caught up in that, and this, like I said, these likes and these retweets, that's good, that's great, but in the scheme of everything and strategy, it's just a small part. It's actual. This took years and years and years to become a credible source. If college coaches view you as a credible source, they're quicker to respond to your email. They're quicker to answer your text. They're quicker to call you, even when you don't reach out to them first, which is one of those reasons I made like these watch lists that we're, dropping now, because it got to the point where myself and Coach Duke and Mincy and just everyone, Kendall, Arnett, we just were getting too many DMs from college coaches that okay, let's go ahead and, make this watch list a central location for all this information on prospects. So now you got the link here. Y'all got it. It's We'll update it. You'll have everything you need. But if you don't have, and sometimes you have, like, how do I say, like, you just have to have that, like I said, connection where they trust, where they view you as a trusted source. And that doesn't take just a year or two. That takes years to grow that. And it's not just a lot of these coaches, all of us talk to, just like I'm sure the coaches y'all know. How many times you just pick up the phone and y'all talking about stuff that isn't even basketball related, right? It gets to a point where the college coach knows I have their best interest at heart, and they have to know that. So that's what kind of the program offers. Obviously, the platform where all the coaches are tuning in to looking to see what prospects are coming across our feed, what student athletes are on these watch lists, all that content we're producing, as well as being a trusted, reliable source. If someone says something bad about pro to a college coach, they think, what's that? It must be deeply rooted, you know what I mean? Or something may not be right about there just because of how we do business with everyone. There is no, overhyping kids. There is no, just a lot of the extra stuff. Like if you know me, me and Kawasi are the same. I don't have time for the extra stuff. I don't have time, for the Twitter, whatever. I don't have time for that. I'm trying to build something that can, last much longer than, once people are here, going, moving on. Just trying to do it that way. So a lot of the little petty stuff, we just don't get involved in that, and people know that. You don't see me or any of our team members participating in any foolishness online. You don't see us, doing whatever. It's just because we conduct ourselves. We can't tell a student athlete to conduct themselves as a business if we're online acting a fool, doing some, going back, just whatever. It goes both ways, and I think people see that whether they're doing business with us or just crossing the street, in passing or whatnot.
So in that exposure piece, Jarrett, do you ever have that conversation with a kid, as far as where are you playing at? Are you playing in the right places as far as in the travel season? I know high school, it is what it is. You play, you kind of go with the schedule for the most part.
Yeah.
But for the travel season, do you ask those questions with those kids and talk to them about exposure tournaments and what may be a better fit for them versus what they're doing now?
Yep. So it's very important what tournaments you are playing in. And I think let's just take Kawasi, in Hype South, and he's bringing all these Team Georgia. How many players has he had from Team Georgia Magic that went up to one of Sean's event and just took off? You know what I mean? So once again, like if you are, a student athlete really trying to, play on certain teams, I'll say this: I'm not a big fan of, people always chasing these big shoot teams or whatever all that stuff is. It's just like you have to find yourself, put yourself in a position where you're on a team where you're going to play and you're in the right tournaments. And seeing what tournaments these different kids are playing in. Sean is one of the top, in my opinion, the top in terms of what he's doing with these events and getting college coaches to tune in. So it's just one of those things where, look, you need to be on a team where it may not have the biggest whatever, the bigger, higher, more popular programs. No, would you rather? I'll give this example real quick, and then I'll correlate it back. But we sent a point guard to a JUCO in Chicago. That was his only offer. Then he came back and went to a NAIA that was a top 10 program for the last 2 years. Started on that NAIA program. Sent another kid, to a Division I school. And you know how earlier in these seasons, NAIA may play a D1, D2 may play it like that. And like they play, and just lets you know it's not all about level. It's not all about the name, the bigger school. But they played, and the kid I sent to the NAIA had 10.7 assists and one turnover in 34 minutes. And the kid we sent to a D1, which just wasn't a good fit for him. He played 2 minutes that game and really, like I said, didn't get too much playing time. But more importantly, guess who won the game? The NAIA level school.
Mhm.
Actually, and it's just like, that's what, when people say people's path, individuals' path, everyone has their own path and it can be different, and you can go NAIA and you'll have opportunities to play these D2s and D1s and, be on a national scale if you guys can make it to the, national tournament, like, and all this type of stuff. A lot of this stuff is televised nowadays.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's just, you really have to, I know it sounds corny and cliche now, and sometimes people say it and don't even mean it, but you have to focus on finding the best fit. Otherwise, it's never going to work for you. You know what I mean? It's never going to work for you. So I take that example to bring it back to like the AAU. If I got a opportunity, and I won't say names, but a top AAU team that everybody, knows, very popular, and making that team, but being at the end of the bench and not playing, versus, another independent team or whatever the case may be, not the bigger name, but we're playing in the same tournament, then we're playing against each other. I'd rather be starting and in rotation on the smaller team going against the big dogs to showcase what I can do,
Right.
compared to me at the end of the bench in another situation. So just so many times these parents get consumed with the bigger name, the bigger school is always better. Like I say it all the time, look at Damian Lillard and CJ McCullough. I bet you out of high school they would have loved to play at Duke or, wherever. But what platform gave them the opportunity to really showcase what they can do?
Right.
Man, you really dropping some knowledge, man, and I think it's great information for these parents to understand that relationship piece as well. And with your program, you guys have built those relationships with these college coaches and built that credibility. It's not you guys are walking somewhere blind and saying, "Hey, I'm gonna go help your kids." You're like, no, it's a system. You guys have a system, a strategy in place for these kids. So, man, kudos, and it's working.
Yeah.
It's working.
I appreciate it.
And we do got another question out there.
Okay.
At what age or grade level would you recommend a parent retain your service for their child? That's a good question.
So it's also, once again, we'll go back to the 4-year, 40-year decision. It's actually best. It's no different than AAU. But sometimes when people recruiting services, we get lumped in and thrown in with, the a stereotypical what most people think of recruiting service is. But like, how do we start the show? We started the show with Hype South, all of his kids that he started with at a young age. Right? Those kids were, I don't know, where were they, 5th, 6th grade, maybe, if not younger, something like that. You know what I mean? So when you have a vision for something, when Kawasi started that team, it wasn't just for 1 year. It was to build those kids up with the right, whether it was integrity, skill set, foundation, the whole nine, to get them through for those next, let's just say 6+ years. If they started in 6th grade, I don't know when they started, but so our program is no different. A lot of times people retain our services when they are a junior or a senior, but ideally it would be best, as soon as these kids get into high school, now you're connected with us and we're moving at a slow and steady pace throughout your entirely of your high school career, compared to, it's the second semester of my senior year, in panic mode. Hey, come make a miracle happen last minute. And it's just, does it still work out a lot of times? Yes, but when we talk long term in terms of the school, not just basketball, the degree programs, like I said, the girl that we sent to Talladega, she had an internship where she just came back from China. Like, so it's just like, it's so much more that goes into it, where we could plan it out, throughout high school first, started. It's no different than any other business. A player, we say the word exposure, but brand awareness. So in this case, player awareness. We are consistently being educated on the recruitment process across the platform, and then us working out through, your entire high school career. So that's where, I would say that would be best, working with these kids the day that they step in high school.
Now, we talk basketball on our show, but your services isn't just for basketball players either. So let's,
Oh yeah.
you kind of want to talk about that for.
Yeah. So what we do is, athletic marketing and a national prospect placement program for, everybody. We've had softball players in the program. Like I said, my actual fiance, she played at University of North Georgia, started all 4 years, and actually won the national championship at North Georgia, whenever that was, in 15 or whatnot. So have the softball side, have the football side. We have a few football players in the program right now. So, because what it is, it's you take the same business model, as they say, and just move it over, to whatever sport. And that's when we realize, hey, we could do this and actually help even more kids. That's why Coach Juke is so valuable to the team. Everything he has, connections football wise. Coach Mincy down there connected with the football players, Bryan County in the Statesboro area. So that's why when it came to bringing certain individuals on the team, what we were looking for was those that, because I am a basketball guy, but I am not someone that, knows everything about football, right? So I got to put individuals around myself and around these kids that can speak to that process as well.
Shout out to Coach Juke. That work gonna show, Coach.
That work gonna show, man. Shout out to my man. That's my brother.
And to your other guy, Coach Harnett.
Oh yeah,
the biggest Syracuse fan I know.
Yeah, out there. He went deep sea fishing, whether it was this past weekend I saw. So he living life, man, out there in Florida. So I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
It's my guy.
Well, Jarrett, I want you to talk to the parents a little bit about, the grades, and also how involved do they need to be in their child's recruitment? Because you get in a situation where the college coaches sometimes text the kids and have the dialogue with the kids, and then the parents coming in on the tail end and don't know what the conversation is about, and now it's being explained. It might be a cost to go to school, this, that, and the other, but dialogue has been between the parents and the coach yet. So explain to the parents, how they need to be involved in their child's recruitment, how important that is.
I'll hit on the first thing you said real quickly, and I see we have to make sure we do a better job of stressing what the most important, what the priorities are. Because, like I said, we're talking basketball right now, but that's not the number one thing is to get the degree, right? Mm-hmm. It's not the basketball; it's to pay for your education so you can, get the degree, minimize that or eliminate that, right? So that's the first thing. So I say that to say, okay, as much emphasis as we put on trainers, which are very important, especially ones that are teaching the kids the fundamentals and not, all the other stuff they do when we see it on Twitter. Right. So you're stressing as much as you do with the trainers and these AAU programs and these services, whether it's recruiting services, national prep, whatever, like just lump all that stuff, basketball side, football, whatever, sports side. You need to be putting that same energy, if not more, on these kids when it comes to taking care of their academics. If they got SAT, SAT, ACT coming up. I remember my parents, had me taking like those classes after school, SAT, ACT prep. Okay, let's say the parent can't afford that. Well, they can afford one of those, those big SAT practice books that, you can afford those off Amazon, whatever they are, $30, $40, $50, whatever. Like, you need to make sure your, child you are putting that same energy and effort towards their academics. Because once again, all right, and I'll hit on this, is obviously you want to have the athletic talent piece of it, but with us knowing that it's a business, a lot of these college coaches aren't looking at a prospect and saying A player is better than B player. They're not doing that. They're saying A player is good, but he gonna cost me X amount of dollars. B player is he's not as good, but he's not gonna be as expensive for me, right? So, and oh, what are you talking about? Expensive, this and that. Like at a lot of these D2s and NAIAs, and believe it or not, even some low major D1s that, funding issues and stuff, um, these scholarship offers aren't 100% athletic scholarships, right? They're stacking academic money, they're stacking grant money, they're stacking, athletic scholarship with those other pieces as well. So once again, if I know my school costs 20,000 and I got a kid over here that's gonna get 12,000 of that from their academics, and I got a kid over here that he ain't gonna get any from academics. It's a 12, that's $12,000 difference. You know what I mean? That could end up to him getting maybe another player, another two player, dependent upon his situation. So that's the piece people have to understand. You have to make yourself so, marketable to these college coaches, and usually it's through academics. Like for instance, we'll take Kawhi Jr. Like I know people love his, basketball skill, and I do too.
Mhm.
Salute. But my favorite thing about that boy is the 4.0 GPA.
Yes, sir.
That's the like that's my favorite part about him. He can hoop, the turn around, the step back, this and that. But you know, his mom and dad have been instilling certain things in him from the beginning. Like, yes, basketball too, but boy, get your behind in there and do that homework. Boy, get in there and study for this. All that they've been doing that with him since he was a young kid. And it just kept on, that's why, oh, how do you get these? This obviously a lot had to do with a skill set. But when people, Stanford don't offer all
Right.
4 and 5 stuff. So yeah, once he got that offer, it's just like, that's what made him different. That's what made him different. So you asking me, how involved should these parents be? You got to take the same energy that you're putting into the athletic piece and, put that into the academic piece. And that's going to pay more dividends than the basketball will. Because if you can get more money from my school academically, like these kids, especially in Georgia, if you got a kid that's Hope eligible, Zell Miller eligible, that's money the college coach is looking at. I know one good friend in the Peach Belt, Georgia school. And so, yeah, I try to get all my kids to come in here and having Hope and Zell Miller. He didn't say nothing about talent level.
Right.
He didn't say anything about that. But it's a money thing at the end of the day. So that's what people really gotta get. If you can put yourself in a situation where you're getting money outside of just like the basketball, you're gonna make yourself so attractive, to these college coaches. Now, real quick, the second thing you said, I see a lot of times, like you said, college coaches reaching out to kids just texting, responding, and don't even tell the parent. The parent don't know what's going on, the communication. Student athletes, like this is like communication with these college coaches is so important. Some kids are really, really good at this, but other kids not so much. Is these initial conversations where these college coaches are reaching out to you and determining if they may want to offer you or not, they're gauging your energy or your attitude and how you're responding in these text messages and on these phone calls. So that's part of the stuff that we do is, like you said, put student athletes in a situation where they have a certain questions for these college coaches to show them you looked up their school and actually did your homework, to make sure that you're communicating with us, your parents, because sometimes student athletes don't know how to respond to college coaches, and your a response to a college coach that may, like, how some kids do, they respond with one word answers, yeah, okay, or whatever it may be. Like, they're reading that stuff, they're reading that, And if you aren't seeming a certain level of interested or, really engaged in the conversation, some coaches may view that as a turnoff. And they got another kid that's much more energetic, saying a lot of the right things, and seems more invested in the conversation. Things can go totally different, and then you don't hear from that coach, and then you're like, what happened? What did I do? You didn't necessarily do anything wrong, but you didn't have the right people coaching you on how to communicate. So
Right.
you need to make sure you're, hey mom, hey dad, hey Jarrett, hey pro rep, whoever it is. I got this call coming up with X. You need to be doing that type of stuff. So you're not in a situation where coaches just go ghost on you and you're wondering why.
Right.
So, Jared, how's COVID? So this whole COVID situation, or whatever the case may be, how has that played a part as far as trying to help kids get placed?
Yeah, so we wanted to do like some events, like I think we had one scheduled for Final Four weekend in Atlanta was at April 4th, and then another girls event that would have been great opportunities, especially boys event. Had coaches from across the country just because they were all coming in, for Final Four weekend. But obviously, since COVID hit, more and more things have gone obviously digital, right? So the coaches are in the stands. You see these AAU events or whatever showcases, all of them have to stream now. So more and more things are digital, and that's why I think, but not think, I know that why we've seen like an influx in DMs and stuff like that is because college coaches aren't necessarily out on the road driving to different events right now. All this stuff is digital. So like COVID, and once again, it's not fair. It's a bad situation. There are going to be a lot of kids that can get their education paid for, that it just isn't going to happen this year just because of suspended seasons, no seasons, limited games, the whole nine. It's just this is it. A lot of kids are about to fall through the cracks. So that's why it's so important this year. If connections was never important before, which is, connections are the number one thing. This year you need to be connected with the individuals that can actually get you to where you need to go, just because the opportunities have been cut back tremendously. So if you're
Right.
not in a situation where you're on the right platform, you're playing with even the right AAU team at these events. Like if you aren't connected to the right people now, and you're just expecting a few tweets and a good senior, junior, sophomore season to get you recruited, it's just not going to happen. I think this is actually going to be, I was talking to my man Kendall with us with Pro, and he's like, we have to learn to navigate because it's going to be the new norm. I really feel like this where we're going to is a new normal that some people are going to stay stagnant and complain about the circumstance compared to others thinking outside the box and say, okay, how can I secure my future? Yes, because COVID is tough, but don't let COVID be a reason for you to stand still and just point fingers at the situation. Got to keep moving.
No, I think that's big. Like you said, as far as the streaming of the games and whatnot. So, of course, COVID is not positive thing for us, right, to deal with. But I think things that have come out of COVID, um, based on not being able to move around. So I think positive things have come out from not being able to move around and do certain things. It kind of made everybody sit still for a minute and think outside the box and go against what the norm has been. And honestly, man, that's even how this podcast was birthed. Do that.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yes,
yeah, and it's been doing good things for us. So yeah. So while it's not the ideal situation, and we don't want any more people to get sick or pass or anything from it, I think that from the standpoint of how we had to think and move, I think it's been positive in that aspect.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And that that's like life. I know this is an extreme thing just because like the pandemic and everything like that, but when life happens, because life is always going to continuously, things are going to happen.
Right.
And you have like the successful individuals aren't the ones that sit still and complain about the circumstance. They're the ones that figure out how to still come out victorious in the circumstances presented at hand. So that's just the mentality people have to have while they're going through this.
All right, definitely. But look, Jarrett, man, we appreciate you being on the show, man. We're gonna go ahead and get out of here. Don't hang up though. We want to kick it with you after the show.
Okay.
The after party.
Yeah, we could do that. We could do that. But yeah, I definitely appreciate you guys, and like I said, the consistency you guys are showing, coming up with a good team with you guys. Like, hey man, keep going. Y'all are motivating people to step up their game, and that's the way I look at it. Like, everybody should be looking at what people are doing, not in an envious way or a jealous way. It's like,
Right.
I like these guys, what they're doing. I like their work. Like everyone, let's step up our consistency. Everybody, let's try to bring more to the table. Everybody, let's try to be a little bit more creative. So with y'all, against all odds, man, y'all doing it.
Yes,
I appreciate you, man. Coach Tat, what you got?
Oh, no, man. Just appreciate Jarrett coming on, man, and dropping his knowledge, and giving these parents and viewers info, man, and it's very much appreciated.
Oh yeah.
Coach Charles.
Oh man, same here, man. Like I said, learning a lot, man. I've been learning a lot throughout these podcasts and talking to individuals, man, because there's what I've learned, man. That's more than one way to skin a cat. No scenario is the same. So you just got to keep pressing, man. And I appreciate the knowledge you in the gems you've been dropping today. So for sure.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. You're right. More than one. My grandma used to always say that. So yep, facts.
Oh yeah.
Jarrett, before we do get out of here though, man, go ahead and plug Pro Movement, your social media, all that good stuff.
Yes, sir. Obviously, Twitter, Jarrett, JARRETT _pro. But go to the main account. I think it's pro_movement1. But definitely all the work. I know like I'm like the face or whatnot, but all the work, Coach Juke is doing, Coach Mincy, Kendall, like, go to the main account. You'll see them across the timeline as well. Follow them because it's important as people think, I am or maybe whatever the case, like this thing doesn't go the way it's going, without those guys really doing what they're doing. And a lot of times it's just, people just think, oh, it's just you and you're doing all this. No, not even close. So
Right.
Definitely shout out to everybody on the team and doing that. And, website www.proball.net. And from there, man, like I said, salute against all odds.
Yes, sir. Hey, so like I said, we're gonna get out of here, man. We want to appreciate, shout out the viewers, definitely for the questions and just for watching us and supporting us. We're trying to evolve in this thing, man. We're on a different kind of platform. We got the executive producer, Coach Charles, up there. We got us moving a little different. So, streaming live on a couple of different platforms, man. So, shout out to that. But that's just a testament of how everything is moving. And you guys supporting us. So like Coach Jarrett, if y'all need anything from him, if y'all can't catch him on social media, hit us up. We can plug you with him. As always, we're on social media. Hit us on all our platforms. But before we get out of here, though, I told you we're moving a little bit, right? So we actually got a couple sponsors now. So we want to shout out Hype South Media, right? And then KPB Designs. And they actually designed the shirts for us. We talked about it before. So if anybody want to get a plug on the show, hit us up. We can work it out, figure it out, get your business on here as well. Again, we're just fortunate for that, man. So, Coach Tyler, you got anything before we get out of here?
No, man, I think you said it all, man.
Yeah. So, hey,
Wait, man. I know y'all seen the social media, man. So Hype South gonna come out with the list. It's gonna be on the show September 5th.
September 5th.
Yeah. So make sure y'all tune in, man. That's gonna be big. That's gonna be get your popcorn, man. That's
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
gonna be
Hey,
big.
so we still gonna have some shows in between there, so don't.
Yeah.
We still got shows before we get to September 5th. Well, mark that on your calendar as a big show as well.
I'm jumping the gun a little bit.
Charles excited about it. But like I said, man, we appreciate everybody for tuning in. Jarrett, definitely, man. Anytime you got something to plug and you want to get some information out, you're more than welcome to come on the show, brother. I know you got your own movement as well, but we got open arms for you, man. So yeah, definitely. Hey, so it's nothing else to say, man. We out of here. Peace.